Hi everyone, welcome to this year's virtual assembly to honor the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Normally, we all gather together in the elementary school auditorium to learn about Dr. King's life, sing songs that are important to the civil rights movement, and have the opportunity to hear the vocal talents of community member Connie Fredericks-Malone from the Canandaigua MLK Committee. This year, to keep everyone safe, we've decided to do the assembly virtually. And here are some things you can expect from our virtual assembly today. You will learn why it is so important that we remember the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and what we can do to keep that legacy alive. You will meet a community member whose name is Connie Fredericks-Malone, and she will read a story called Martin's Big Words, sing a song for us, and talk about her experiences seeing Martin Luther King Jr. speak when she was a kid. You'll hear some 5th grade chorus members singing one of the songs we normally sing at our assembly called Eyes on the Prize. And at the end of the video, there will be 2 very important questions for you to think about and discuss with others. The questions are about your role in building and keeping our school community a place where everyone is treated fairly and everyone feels like they belong. If you're watching this in the classroom, we ask that teachers provide time to think about the answers to these questions and discuss them as a group. If you're watching this at home by yourself, think about the answers, and if you feel like it, maybe write them down. If you're watching this at home as a family, we ask that you spend some time as a family reflecting and discussing them together. Let's start our virtual assembly by singing, or humming if you're in the classroom, our school song, Our School Community.
My name is Connie Fredericks-Malone, Miss Connie to many people. I'm a resident of Canandaigua and have been for the past 20 years. And I am a member of the Canandaigua Dr. Martin Luther King Day Planning Committee. My husband and I moved to Canandaigua in 2000, the fall of 2000. We met in New York. We lived in Manhattan on the Upper West Side for 13 years. Then we bought a house out on Long Island, in Northport, Long Island, and we lived there for another 9 years. And when my stepdaughter got engaged to a young man whose parents lived on Main Street, in the big blue Queen Anne that's on Main Street, we came up here for bridal showers. And so when we came up for bridal showers, I was looking around saying, gosh, this looks like Springfield, Massachusetts when I was growing up, the big main street and these wonderful houses. You know, I was amazed. So I looked at my husband who had cousins up here. I said, we're moving. We're just moving.
Since we're doing things a little bit differently this year, and since the students of Canandaigua Elementary will be watching this in separate classrooms and on screens on different days, and we can't all gather in the assembly in the auditorium together, I'm trying to imagine a question that one of my students might ask, or maybe almost would be too afraid to ask, but might think. A simple question of, why is Martin Luther King Jr. important? Why do I have to go to this assembly?
Okay. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is important because he recognized the inequities in our society. And those inequities are from something as simple as those who have Wi-Fi and those who don't. Or they may live in a more rural part of the state and can't have access to Wi-Fi, which is going to impact, as we know now, their education. Okay. And then you have those who have finances and those who don't. And he realized that we were heading towards a precipice, that we have these lofty, wonderful attributes to our country. You know, that all men are created equal, that if you just work hard, you're going to be able to get to where you want. It doesn't really work that way. And so he saw that. And he's saying to us, we're going to work on it in this generation. We're going to address it in this generation. But you have to work on it in the next generation. And your children will have to work on it in their generation. We've got to correct it. We've got to bring things, we have to bring more people to the table. Your color of your skin, the language you speak, the race that you are, the gender that you are, doesn't have anything to do with this. We are all in the same boat. This is all our country. It isn't Black history or Hispanic history or Native history. It's American history. So it's up to you to correct what hasn't been done by this generation. So that's why you should be in this assembly. And that's why you should know more about Dr. King. Martin's Big Words, the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Everywhere in Martin's hometown, he saw the signs, white only. His mother said these signs were in all southern cities and towns in the United States. Every time Martin read the words, he felt bad until he remembered what his mother told him. You are as good as anyone. In church, Martin sang hymns. He read from the Bible. He listened to his father preach. These words made him feel good. When I grow up, I'm going to get big words too. Martin grew up. He became a minister like his father, and he used the big words he had learned as a child from his parents and from the Bible. Everyone can be great. He studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He learned how the Indian nation won freedom without ever firing a gun. Martin said, love, when others said hate. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. He said, together, when others said, separate. He said, peace, when others said, war. Sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together. In 1955, on a cold December day in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was coming home from work. A white man told her to get up from her seat on the bus so he could sit down. She said no and was arrested. Montgomery's black citizens learned of her arrest. It made them angry. They decided not to ride the buses until they could sit anywhere they wanted. For 381 days, they walked to work and school and church. They walked in rain and cold and in blistering heat. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them until the white city leaders had to agree they could sit anywhere they wanted. When the history books are written, someone will say there lived black people who had the courage to stand up for their rights. In the next 10 years, black Americans all over the South protested for equal rights. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. White ministers told them to stop. Mayors and governors and police chiefs and judges ordered them to stop. But they kept on marching. Wait! For years I have heard the word wait. We have waited more than 340 years for our rights. They were jailed and beaten and murdered, but they kept on marching. Some black Americans wanted to fight with their fists. Martin convinced them not to by reminding them of the power of love. Love is the key to the problems of the world. Many white Southerners hated and feared Martin's words. A few threatened to kill him and his family. His house was bombed. His brother's house was bombed, but he refused to stop. Remember, if I am stopped, this movement will not be stopped because God is with this movement. The marches continued. More and more Americans listened to Martin's words. He shared his dreams and filled them with hope. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. After 10 years of protests, the lawmakers in Washington voted to end segregation. The white-only signs in the South came down. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cared about all Americans. He cared about people all over the world, and people all over the world admired him. In 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won it because he taught others to fight with words, not fists. Martin went wherever people needed him. In April 1968, he went to Memphis, Tennessee. He went to help garbage collectors who were on strike. He walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. On his second day there, he was shot. He died. Freedom, peace, together. I have a dream. Love. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his big words are alive for us today. Paul and Silas were bound for jail, had no money for to go their bail. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. The Mississippi River is deep and wide. I see freedom on the other side. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on. Paul and Silas began to shout. The jail doors opened and they both walked out. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
Yeah, so there was a rich Black history in Canandaigua. There always has
Very
been.
much so. I think the first lawyer in the state, first African-American lawyer in the state, is buried in our cemetery here. There was a deacon of First Congregational Church that was an African-American man. We're talking in the 1800s now, guys.
That's amazing.
And at one point, there was such a population of Black people here. Of course, Gideon Granger and other wealthy people had enslaved people as well. That when they attended church at First Congregational, they had to sit in the balcony. They sat in the balcony. They couldn't sit with the rest of the population, the white population. And when Canandaigua became the seat of county government, that Black population moved.
As you're talking about all of this, I'm thinking about my students. I'm thinking about the students at Canandaigua Elementary and maybe hearing stories about the 1960s and hearing about signs like whites only and thinking that's such a far away time and a far away place. And then to hear you describe a church in Canandaigua that still stands that at one point in our history had that separation.
That's right. That's right.
And so it's important to remember that even here, we had to overcome.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that there was plenty of enslaved people all throughout New England, all throughout the East Coast, going into New York State. This was not something that was exclusively in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually a disservice to the South by saying it was only there. It was pretty darn awful, but it was awful anywhere. Anywhere you enslave a person, it's awful. Mm-hmm. But it also existed all throughout the Northeast. But those are the things we have to learn. There's a tremendous amount of history in this city. Women's history, Black history, Native people, Indigenous people, mm-hmm. Latinx historic. You know, think of all the farms. How did they get those crops gathered? Mm-hmm. There were migrant workers coming through. Mm-hmm. There's history here. So that's history to be discovered.
As a child, do you remember having impressions of Martin Luther King Jr.?
Well, it's very interesting that you asked that question because I was born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts. My mother went to Springfield College, and Martin Luther King was asked to speak at Springfield College. And at a very early age, my mom took me to the commencement exercise where he actually did speak.
In 1964, Springfield College shared a moment in history often overlooked by historians, as civil rights activist Dr. Martin Luther King visited the college to receive an honorary degree and deliver the commencement speech to the graduating class.
Unbeknownst to me at the time, the backstory of that is that the president of the school of Springfield College wanted him to speak, but he was in jail in Florida.
Wow.
And so the school actually paid for him to get out of jail and come up and speak. Now, there was another situation that happened where one of the, I don't know if it was board of directors or governing body for Springfield College, actually came to the president and said, I want to talk to you. I've been donating a lot of money to this school and I have a check for $1 million here. If you do not let this man speak, I will give you this amount of money. He said, but if you do, I will tear this check up. And the president allowed him to speak and the check was torn up.
Wow.
That's documented.
That's an unbelievable story.
Yeah.
I imagine putting that into context of our own school, Canandaigua City School District, to have somebody say, here's $1 million for your school.
Yeah, if you don't use this particular person.
Yes. And just to think about the idea of there's a man in prison who we're going to pay to get out of prison to come here, but having a strong moral backbone and knowing that this man stood for what was right.
That's right.
And that some things are worth it and money is not as important.
Yeah. I learned that as an adult, but I actually went to see King speak with my mom as a kid. And that was, you know, I guess maybe it just kind of went over my head. I knew he was a great person. It didn't really register then. Something registered, but it really didn't hit me until as I got older and realized the significance of that day. Yeah. That was very special.
Keep your eyes How can we together make our school community feel like a place where everyone belongs?
What specific things can you do to make Canandaigua Elementary School a place where everyone belongs?
The Canandaigua City School District believes in building a community rooted in inclusion and love, where everyone recognizes the active role they play in educating children and helping them find a sense of purpose in life.
Quote from Dr. King. We may have come here on different ships, but we're all in the same boat